Ink ribbon.
Unfinished models, different looking inventory items, different alternate costumes. Yup. Resident Evil 2 fans, go get a snack and something to drink because we are in for a big video today. So you may have seen my previous video where I showed some of the unused backgrounds of Resident Evil 2, and honestly, that's all that video is going to be, with most of them being from the trial version of the game, which was just a Japanese demo. But as I was researching it, I kept uncovering more and eventually stumbled onto a super early version of the game that was still in the early stages of development. Now I should be clear, this is not Resident Evil 1.5, but the early prototype version of the final game, so I'm calling it Resident Evil 1.8. That's not official. It was originally a build that was leaked in China in 1997, apparently, so do with that information what you will. First and foremost, this build only has Leon's scenario, so we won't be seeing any of Claire's scenario, though we will still visit some places that she goes. This also features the magic zombie door menu from Resident Evil 1.5 builds, which means that while playing I can easily jump around to any room in the game. The only problem is 99% of the rooms have Japanese names. There's also the handy item swap cheat where if you press select and hold L1 or R1, you can cycle through items and even press triangle to change the amount. So if you see my inventory going wonky, that's why. So without further ado, let's see what's different in this early version of
Biohazard.
I'm guessing this is before cutscenes are done because you're just thrown right into the game. And immediately in the gun shop we can already see differences, mainly in the extra ammo and a typewriter. I don't think people need to save their game in the second room they enter, so yeah, removing that makes sense. Next, going into the alleyways, there's a lot of changes, mainly that they're all so clean. No mess, no debris, no splatter. It's actually really jarring to see, but kind of cool because you can get a sense of what it looked like before the outbreak happened. In the area before the bus, you can see that the cars and other assets are unfinished, which is cool. And by the way, you're going to see a lot of clipping where the characters appear above everything, so just get used to that. The masks weren't done yet, and it's a whole technical thing, but anyway. The area after the bus is slightly different, and also not on fire. But that's it for the city. Now onto the RPD. This is where I started to notice minor changes to the cutscenes, like Leon aiming at Marvin. Only people who have played this game 847 times like I have will notice most of these little things. If that's you, then hit the like button, because we're just getting started. The main hall desk has a new close-up camera angle that I really wish they had kept, and also an item box, sort of. This one doesn't work, but if you head into the waiting room where it's supposed to be, it's there. And no, that's not a mistake. It is here. Ta-da! Mysterious floating box lid. But it's functional. The liquor drop cutscene is missing, but replaced with an alternate version I've never seen before. Also, is it just me, or were these zombies never blonde in the final version? Anywho, I'm sorry to say, but the special locker isn't special in this version, just some ammo. Although, while we're on that subject, check out these early versions of the alternate outfits. And before you ask, no, the Rebecca film Easter egg isn't in this version either. I checked. It was around this point that I started noticing there was a lot of ammo and health in this version. I mean, like, a lot. I could have decided to start using only my shotgun from this point on, and I probably would have been able to use it for the rest of the game. The East Hall has a much smaller group of zombies versus the large horde we encounter in the final game. I had the crap scared out of me in the evidence room because the liquor jump scare happened when I grabbed the ammo off the table, not when I got the key item. Heading back, I noticed there was a small key in the East office, which I couldn't remember if that was the same in the final version because I don't bother with the small keys, but I took it anyway just to be thorough. Speaking of thorough, I think this version has a bit more gore because I don't remember being able to shoot zombies' arms off. And I'm sorry that I have to censor this. Don't blame me. Blame the new YouTube. The cutscene where Marvin transforms is a bit different as well.
What happened? Hang in there.
Down in the basement, the power room has the addition of a locker key, which we will use in a moment. But I also noticed the power puzzle doesn't have labeling for the numbers on it, which would make it hard to figure out. When switching back from Ada, I noticed that she says catch. Small, but notable.
Did you find anything?
Right here. Catch.
Something very annoying I discovered at this point is your character starts to limp on orange caution instead of danger. So yeah, glad they changed that. Now, about that locker key. In the weapons room, the machine gun and side pack system works a bit different. Instead of just one locker, you can use the locker key to open either the left or the right, but you can only use the key once. I chose the side pack, which forced me out of the room, but also healed Leon. So I wasn't mad about that. In the press room, there's a big spoiler because the hole in the wall is already there. Time to slide down the chute. Oh, it's not done yet. Okay. When you finally meet up with Ada, there's no dramatic spy fall from the ceiling. She's just there, waiting. I decided to have some fun and let the spiders kill Ada. And I know the spiders are derpy in the final game, but in this prototype, they are just straight up dumb. Once we got to the tunnels, I thought, you know, I've never seen what happens if you let Ada die. So I did. And once Ada went down for the count, that was it. No game over or anything. By the way, she's a beast. It was really hard to get her in a position where she'd die, and it only happened because a zombie was able to stun lock her with his vomit. That was a weird sentence. The tram cutscene was in this, but had unfinished audio. After the fight with William, there's slightly different cutscene dialogue, and you can imagine my shock when Leon was like, "Wake up!" And then she actually does. But Leon carries her anyway because he's a good boy. I noticed the main hub of the lab isn't color-coded, with all the sections being lit up as white. Thankfully, I've been here before, so I know where to go. Leon is a lot more excited about the fuse machine in this version.
So, this is what everyone's been dying for.
In the west area, while there isn't color coding in the lights, there is different signage for the area, although it's misspelled. I also kept hearing an ivy in the room and couldn't find it, and eventually realized it was out of bounds, just vibing. It's at this point that I could no longer ignore this. It was really bugging me. There are several doorknobs in the game where the knob lever thing turns the wrong way. I have no idea why. You know that liquor that drops from the ceiling here? Surprise! It's an ivy. The BOW gas control wasn't in the nap room, instead being in the monitor room. I did turn it on, but I didn't notice any difference in the enemies. Instead of Magnum parts, there was just some extra Magnum ammo. The surgery room doesn't have the Mo disc, instead having a warehouse key, which goes with the different lock to the final boss shutter. Now, I'm not gonna tell you what's changed in the cutscene with Annette, I'm just gonna let it play.
If you don't want to believe it, I don't really care. You're about to die anyway. What happened?
I did not edit any of that footage. Okay, so if you thought the mansion basement theme was bad, the music that plays in Ada's death cutscene is so much worse. Also, the background where she falls is less detailed and possibly unfinished. Dear God, make the music stop. The final boss area with William is one of the most drastically different areas of the game. It looks much more industrial and unfinished, and I know this because after killing William, I went to where the elevator was supposed to be and nothing. Also, I can't leave the room, so that's the end of the first scenario. And now a quick word from our sponsor. The second scenario still has a lot of the same differences, but it has its own differences, so let's check them out. First and foremost, Mr. X seems to have more health, being especially hard to take down with a handgun, and he also doesn't drop any ammo like he does in the final version. He also scares the crap out of you a lot easier because his theme doesn't play, so you'll turn the corner and he's just there like, sup? The zombies respawn in the east office every single time you leave the room. For some reason, there are 2 lickers in the interrogation room. I really wanted those handgun bullets, but I decided to take my business elsewhere. Which, on that topic, I started to now realize that while in Scenario A, there was too much ammo, in Scenario B, there was far less ammo, though still plenty of shotgun and magnum ammo later on. Normally, Ada will wear Sherry's locket for a portion of the second scenario, but it's never visible on her model, though she does have the shot where she opens it and actually tells us what it is.
G-Virus.
So, you know how Leon stomps zombies and Claire kicks them? Well, I'm not sure what happened, but Leon kicked this one zombie's head. My theory is that it detected collision with Ada and some weird overlap changed his reaction animation, but I don't know what's going on under the hood. Instead of dogs or zombies, we now have some IVs in the pre-lab halls. And Ada dying still doesn't trigger a game over. I checked. You know, for science. The labs were pretty much the same until I got to the incineration room with the lava pool, where instead of the advanced lickers, we have a moth infestation. I actually kind of like having them here, it really fits well, even having the larva blocking the power switch, but I guess someone at Capcom didn't approve. Also, the shooting the screen Easter egg doesn't seem to work. Boo. After the tyrant is tossed into the lava, there's an alternate version of him crawling out, with Leon actually seeing it happen. The elevator that leads to the train is different, and Leon uses the master key automatically to get there. You hear the announcement that there are 10 minutes to detonation instead of the usual 5, but there's no countdown displayed.
10 minutes until detonation.
I also noticed that the end of the train has nothing in it, it's just a dead end, and the save point was moved to the platform area instead. As expected, there are no ending cutscenes, just placeholder, and when I was about to fight William, the game froze. Just to make sure it wasn't a fluke, I reloaded and tried again, and yep, the game just freezes. So that's the end of Scenario 2. Now, to wrap up this video, we're going to go visit Claire's areas in the RPD, and we're going to check out all the other items that are in this version of the game. So first of all, if you teleport to the Chief Iron's room without blowing up the wall, there's an invisible wall blocking you. Everything was mostly the same except for Chief Iron's taxidermy room, where it's much different, having a giant bear and a mounted tiger's head, just when I thought I couldn't hate irons even more. Another change for Claire would have been these chemicals. They don't have proper names, so I don't know what to call them, but I translated the description and it says that when combined with grenade ammo, it will make new ammo types. So I tried combining them with grenades, and what do you know? They worked. The blue one creates fire rounds, and the red one creates acid rounds. They're only accessible in the debug menu, but they are functional. Other than that, nothing noticeable seems to have been changed in Claire's part of the game, at least that I can access. Now after seeing that, I decided to go through all the items to see what everything was. There's an MP5 graphic in the game, but attempting to equip it will crash the game, so I guess it wasn't intended for Leon to use. In case you guys didn't know, if a character equips a gun that they're not supposed to be using, it will just crash the game. Anyway, there are also ammo types that aren't normally found in the game, like spark shot ammo or flamethrower fuel. Probably the most mysterious item I found is this canister thing that looks like it's got like a pull tab or something. It's called a fire starter, and when examined, the description just says dummy. I have absolutely no idea what this would have been used for. I did Google to see if these were a real thing, and there are tabs that have a string that, when pulled, apparently start a fire, most likely used for camping or survival, so I can at least confirm that it was meant to burn something, but other than the plants in the lab, I have no idea. And lastly is the Calico 950, which is equipable and functional, but it functions identical to the handgun and doesn't make any sound. I also noticed it defaults to infinite ammo, which suggests that it may have been intended as a fourth bonus weapon to go along with the submachine gun, rocket launcher, and Gatling gun. And just an extra bit of trivia, this gun is real, being called the Calico Liberty 3 in real life, and is a 9mm specialized handgun where the ammo is stored in a top-loading barrel and the shells are ejected downward. And there you have it, the unused, unfinished, and early content of Resident Evil 2, one of the best video games ever made in the history of forever. I haven't been this excited to make a Resident Evil video in a long time, but this was just amazing to be able to see and experience. I love being able to take a peek behind the development curtain and see what changes were made during development, and if you know of any other earlier beta versions of Resident Evil games, please let me know because I would love to cover them. I will be doing a live stream of this prototype soon, so be sure to tune in for that and we can experience it together. If you appreciate the effort that went into this, then please stun lock Ada with that like button. Don't worry, it won't cause a game over. I hope you all had a great New Year's, death to 2022, let's make 2023 a great one. I'm Kai Morgan, and as always, thanks for watching Ink Ribbon. And a very special thank you to all of my Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Your extra support means the world to me and helps me keep making content for you guys.